Hello, all my hypotheticals. It's PlayerTwo with Star of Wisdom, Terposer, and Connor, and we're playing Heart Gold, Soul Silver. Also, it's been a very long while between the last episode and this episode. I have no idea what's going on. I'm sure a lot of us are just gonna have Pokemon dying left and right this episode, because it's been about, what, 5 months, guys?
About
since September 19th, exactly.
Hypothetical, right?
All right.
Classical.
Counter me, why not?
Okay. Just to get all the Kronk nuts caught back up on where we were. After the recording, I ran back to heal, I think, and one of my egg hatched, and it was a Dodrio, and I'm not excited. So
Oh, there's a Piplup in here. Darn.
Dodrio is a silly Pokemon.
it is very silly.
Yeah.
But anyway, today's topic, because we totally didn't forget, is from Jupiter. We thought it was going to be from Connor, but then I forgot that there were like 3 or 4 episodes that we recorded. So don't worry about it. It's Jupiter's episode, Jupiter's topic. Yeah. hit us with it.
All right. So my question for everybody today is: if one train is moving in one direction at 50 kilometers per hour, and another train is traveling at 30 kilometers per hour, which one gets to the station first?
The doctor is his mother.
Okay. My actual topic of discussion is I want to talk about our favorite books and books that we've been reading recently. If you have no favorites. Why do I keep missing slam? This is annoying.
Huh.
It's only got 20% accuracy. Don't ask me why.
So I guess I forget. Did we do this? Did we used to do this where the person who introduced the question started or ended?
It didn't. Really
It
matter.
depended on the question. I usually just went last because I need to close as well. So
Sure. Well, I'll start off
this
then and just talk about my favorite books that I like. I like fantasy. That's my favorite genre. So my favorite author within that genre is Brandon Sanderson.
Mhm.
And so basically all of my favorite fantasy books are written by the same author, and because he has multiple different series. If you haven't read Brandon Sanderson and you like fantasy, definitely check it out. It's very cool. Highly recommended. Of them all, though, I have specific nostalgic attachment to the Mistborn series. Just because back when I first read Mistborn for the first time, I kind of wasn't as engaged in reading. Like, I liked reading, but I just couldn't find anything that I liked.
Jupiter also couldn't read.
No, it was like I was just in a slump where like I wanted to read stuff, but I just couldn't find anything that held my attention. And then I found Mistborn and was like, oh yeah, this is what I am looking for, exactly this. And yeah, since then I have kept up. And the reason that why this came to mind is that just last year, like in November, he released the fourth book in the Stormlight Archives, and so that's the most recent book that I read, and I read through it in a week because it's so freaking good. I can't even put words into explaining how this works if you aren't familiar with like the scale that he operates on.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, those are.
Well, you talk about the whole idea that he has this whole connected universe.
Yeah, I guess I can to sell people on it. What Sanderson does with a lot of his novels is that he has this thing called the Cosmere, and it's sort of like an interconnected. It's sort of like his books are kind of like the Marvel of fantasy is sort of how I would describe it, in the sense that his different series take place on different planets, and they have different magic systems, and they follow different characters, but they're all within the same system. And eventually there's this idea that there's going to be crossovers, and those crossovers have started happening in certain series. So
it's like Sonic.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, that's kind of how I would sell it to you, is like you can get really invested in one series and one set of characters, But there's also like a bigger story that everything is building up to. And when I say multiple series, I mean there's like in Rhythm of War, which is this most recent book, it references at least 3 other series that Sanderson has worked on. And you don't need to have read those series to understand what's happening in Rhythm of War. But if you have read those series and you do catch the references, it's super cool, especially because the way that he's designed all of his magic systems, which are exclusive to the different planets, they all operate under, they're all hard magic systems, meaning that they have specific things that are consistent across the magic systems. So you end up with like things that happen on Scadrial can apply in a similar way on Roshar, which is like, anyway, it's just the amount of planning and work that has gone into making it this coherent is just massively impressive to me. And yeah, that's...
Hear this, Connor? This guy's an effing nerd.
Yeah, sorry, I haven't been listening at all, so I just know that Jupiter likes Brandon Sanderson, and it was just like, yeah, I know how this is gonna go for the next 10 minutes.
Yep. I can talk about other fantasy books too. There was another one. Who's the other author? I think his name is Brent Weeks. I read a couple of series that he wrote, and those are like, what's the right word to describe them? They're kind of like gritty fantasy.
I want out.
Interesting.
So they're like, are they like the gritty reboot of A Christmas Carol?
They're like,
if that's the case, I don't want it.
They're like, they're more in the vein of Game of Thrones fantasy, if that makes sense, where it's still a fantasy setting, but they're not
realistic.
Yeah, it's not like, oh, it's elves and fancy magic people. It's like, no, this is taking place on the streets, and you've got assassins, and they are, murdering people, and you have like vivid descriptions of people getting killed in horrible ways.
Wait, what's this one called?
Well, the author is Brent Weeks. I read...
This isn't Brandon Sanderson, okay.
No. I read 2 series that he wrote. One of them was the Night Angel trilogy, and then the other one was... Oh god, I forget what it is, but it's this whole color magic system, which is really, really cool. It's got like 5 books in the series too, and it's
called
really
Magic
good.
the Gathering.
Okay. But yeah, so those are my suggestions. Those are 2 authors that I recommend to people if you like fantasy. And if you don't like reading, try reading Mistborn anyway. You might.
Cool, we lost Jupiter.
Yeah.
So you know how the static encounter in the Lake of Rage? Oh, right. No, that makes more sense. I was really surprised because it was a shiny barrel. But it's probably hard coded to be shiny, but something random. So
yeah.
I don't think it's as
barrel.
shocking to me. But yes, I was like really surprised. I was like, why is this static encounter just a shiny barrel? But okay, this I guess makes more sense.
Do static encounters count toward your total?
They do not count towards a point total, but they do count as like it's an encounter that you get to use. Okay. So yay, barrel.
I'm spending this episode wasting my time.
I have spent the majority of my time trying to figure out how to get on Mount Mortar. Like, I just had zero clue. I think I just went back to the start. But I'm fighting a trainer I haven't fought before, so we're just gonna hope that this is where I needed to be.
I'll give you a hint with Mount Mortar. There's a lot of area up in the north that is completely extraneous, as far as I can remember. Like, there's just a whole bunch of it that you just don't have.
Hey, is Route 42 the route I should be on?
I think that's the one before, or...
Damn it!
I don't remember. I honestly cannot remember. You're trying to go right, is what it comes down to.
I tried going right, and I got stuck somewhere.
Huh.
Guys, I got the TM gravity. You're all going down.
Neat.
Where am I supposed to find the egg? I'll look it up.
You don't need the egg.
I need
But
it.
he wants the egg.
You don't understand, Jupiter. You've never understood.
What am I supposed to do without this egg?
So what books do you like to read?
Well, I'll hop off of that, I guess, because you were talking about Brandon Sanderson.
Yeah.
I forget what this guy's sending out, so we'll just... Carvana. Good. I'm glad I kept my water Pokemon out. God damn it. So yeah, you introduced Mistborn to me, and I will say that trilogy, and I know it's a trilogy of trilogies, but the initial trilogy is quite good. I am also kind of a fiction fantasy reader. I quite like delving into a world that is not my own, and getting immersed within it. And Brandon Sanderson does a really good job of doing that. It also, like, as you're talking about, his magic system it's not super complex, but it's complex enough where it's compelling. It looks like there's almost a science to the world. It doesn't just feel like, oh, this person can do magical things because they can. It's like, great, awesome. What? Wait a second. Why am I getting the Entei and Raikou markers?
Because they just run around after you first encounter them in Ecruteak.
Gotcha.
And they just run around the map. But they'll probably be random, so I doubt that we'll ever notice one. Well, it does play a special animation when you encounter them. But
I think I'm on the right side of the Lake of Rage.
For all intents and purposes, they're like they're just roaming encounters.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, you can tell I've played Heart Gold and Soul Silver religiously. So yeah, quite a fan of Brandon Sanderson. I actually have Aragon sitting right next to me.
That's also
and
very
I've been meaning to reread that. Thank you for putting me to sleep, Paris. When you're at 1 HP, go to hell. Cyndaquil, you're level 13. You can live against a level 19 Paris. You got it. But thank you for leech lifing me, you dick. All right. Sorry, it's gonna be a while before I get back on track here. Most of my favorite books can be summed up in fantasy books. Aragon series I'm quite fond of. I actually stopped reading kind of a long time ago. The only thing that got me back into reading was the Mistborn trilogy that you recommended to me. Mm-hmm. Before that, no, I don't want your phone number. Stop it. And so I don't know if I can contribute much to this conversation, but that's what I'm going to contribute.
Well, here's what I'll say is that if you are on the fence about reading Mistborn, you've now heard 2 strong recommendations for it. So
yeah, that's true.
Do it.
I do want to read the next trilogy
too.
It's really different. So, okay, I guess another thing to sell about Mistborn is that
we need to pause. We need to pause.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
As I was saying about Mistborn, the way that the trilogy of trilogy works, and I think it actually might have been expanded into a cycle of trilogies, so it's going to be 4 trilogies. But anyway, it's each trilogy takes place in a different time period / era. So the original Mistborn trilogy is like it's like a traditional medieval fantasy setting. It's like very low tech. The big development in the second trilogy is that they have found gunpowder. So now they've got the same magic system but with guns. It's actually really good, but it's a western. So it's like there's guns, and there's trains, and you've got people using metal for anyway. It
should be explained that the magic system is based off of like ingesting certain types of metals, and then you usually have some sort of effect on being able to pull or push metals, and maybe that's like within a person or externally. So just imagine gunslinging, but people are able to curve bullets and whatever. I haven't read this trilogy, but I imagine that's the kind of stuff that happens.
That's part of it, but then there's also, well, I don't want to spoil anything, so I actually can't say the other thing that kind of throws a wrinkle into it. But yes, that's part of it. Is like being able to. Yes, it turns out then the next trilogy after that is A Wrinkle in Time. It's already been written by a completely different author. These are all just prequels leading up to it.
Maybe that's what I should do with all my books. Just write prequels that people don't know are prequels to books that already exist. Just like in the last 2 chapters, just really tie it all in together. Just like, wait, what?
And then Alice saw the Looking Glass. You're just like, wait, what?
Her name wasn't even Alice the entire book.
Alice took off her fake face, and it was Alice.
Alice was wearing a mask of herself. I like that.
But yeah, so then the next trilogy is going to be like a more futuristic one where there's going to probably be interplanetary travel, which is presumably how that series is going to be able to get to some of these other realms in the thing.
Wait,
Even though there's other ways of doing that. But it's hard to keep talking about it without spoiling anything. Suffice to say, even Mistborn as a standalone book is good on its own. Like, you can read that one, like, you don't have to feel like you're getting invested in this 20-book franchise. You can just read Mistborn, and you will enjoy it. It's like, it's a good story on its own. So.
Wait, so you're saying the third trilogy of the series has not been written?
No, the second trilogy hasn't actually. Well, the second trilogy ended up being 4 books long, and that one hasn't been finished yet.
Yeah.
So we're still waiting for the 4th book in the gunslinger era, and then I think there was maybe going to be a steampunk era too, which is pretty interesting.
Give me a new Pokemon. It's normal.
My Torchic is evolving. I get a combustion.
One of the TMs that they have at the department store for me is Explosion.
You should get it and teach it
I
to
really
all your
want
Pokemon.
I'm very tempted.
It's the ultimate strategy that they'll never see coming in a Nuzlocke.
Well,
They're like, he won't use Explosion.
Go, Nummel. Get in the ball.
Okay, gotta go through space.
Yeah, so I mean, unless I probably have the least to say
About books.
about books.
Asa can't read.
I don't really. What up? My name's Asa. I'm 19 and I don't know how to read. Jared had a really golden opportunity because he also can't read. But
He was
he's not 19, so.
I really hope I did my name correctly.
But
I didn't
Connor,
know. I
essentially,
did all caps. No.
would you like to go or shall I?
That's at you, Connor.
Oh, sorry. I was like, I'm trying to figure out how the game works in the game corner. And
You go, Asa.
Oh, you're playing the
Alright.
game corner.
it's
Oh,
like,
man.
I'm not
So,
motivated to do
I was like, how can I have more dead weight on my team? Oh, that's how.
Now he's a gambler too.
Good.
I am gonna teach my Star Raptor surf. Sure. So when I was younger, I was much more into fantasy and fiction. And I still, it's not that I don't enjoy it now, it's just that I don't read at all. Because most of the time I'm in school and I don't have that much time to read. Whatever. The books that I'm most interested in now are actually mostly nonfiction. I've developed a fondness for nonfiction, which I've never had before, because it sucks. But yeah, one of the most recent books that I've been reading is called The Secret Life of Trees, and it talks all about how trees and forests are really like more like one superorganism rather than like innumerable singular organisms that are trees. They're more like they're connected with their roots and whatever. It's rather interesting, and describes how they actually have like a language almost that they communicate by, that they make sounds that can be heard on, like, I'm not a science person, so I can't really describe this with much accuracy at all, but whatever that's called, like, you know, frequencies. Like you can, like, when a tree is in pain, there's a very high pitch, not audible to the human ear, but you can detect it with various instruments, like almost like screaming when they're in pain. So it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, that's cool.
I've also been reading a collection of John Muir's journal entries, which is also pretty interesting.
I guess that's another thing I could mention is that I went on a kick of reading biographies and autobiographies, just because there's a whole bunch of them available for free online. And they're not even necessarily. I didn't even necessarily read autobiographies of like well-known people. It was just people wrote an autobiography and put it online, and that can be one of the most interesting things that you can find to read. Is just some random person talk their life and the things that they did and the experiences they had, and it's like it's usually this very specific thing where like my parents did this thing. My parents were morticians, and that was what I grew up is going into the family mortician business, and it's like just this super interesting story that's also true. And so yeah, I think there's definitely appeal to nonfiction when it's written in a certain way, is what I would say.
What does Captivate do?
I think it just infatuates you if you're the opposing gender.
No.
Think.
No.
I'm
Sorry,
good. No, I'm good. Thank you. Good day.
All right, Connor, what are your books?
I read sometimes. So my specific reading has been a little bit different than well, actually no, it hasn't. It's pretty much what I normally read anyway. I recently started applying to graduate school for anthropology, and I'm citing a lot of things that are anthropology books that I have read or partially read, and I have been reading a lot of those books again, so that if someone like tries to hit me with a gotcha question in an interview, I'm like, hey, I can read. But no, I've had I read a really good I've started reading a book that is about it's a biography of early 20th century lynchings, which is very well
Fascinating.
written.
Hell yeah.
No, it is.
I didn't mean fascinating in the sense that it's not fascinating. I meant more like fascinating. That sounds horrible and gruesome.
No, it is like it's brutal. It's a brutal book. That one has been really, really good. I actually have that next to me here. I can
read it to
grab
us.
it so I can get a title for people.
You know what? Can you just read the first chapter for us?
Right. Sorry, what'd you say, Zach?
Can you just read the first chapter for us? That'd be
Yeah,
great.
let's go. Okay.
No, the video's
no, it's called At the Hands of Persons Unknown by Philip Dre. But yeah, very good. And then I have some anthropology books that I've been reading. Tanya Luhrmann is one of my favorite authors from those, and so I've been rereading some of her books that I've read before. And then I have, oh god, there was one more. Like I've always I haven't read a like firm fiction book in a long time.
Right.
I started reading one that's by one of my favorite authors. That I think I told you about it, Jupiter, or at least I told you about some of his other stuff. It's Ta-Nehisi Coates.
Yep.
He wrote his first fiction book that's called The Water Dancer.
Okay.
That's a slave child that has like super sensory powers. That's extremely interesting.
Cool. He's a really good writer.
Yes, he is an exceptionally good
I would
writer.
actually be really interested in reading that.
Yeah.
The fiction one. I read his Between the World and Me book when you recommended that, and that was really good.
Yeah, he is fantastic. And then I got a one of my Christmas presents from my dad, who has always been known to I do not want a haircut. I got someone recently put out, I can't remember the author, recently put out a new biography about Malcolm X, and so I got that
Cool.
I got that for Christmas. So that's next on my list, and then I have a couple stuff a couple things in that vein. So
Cool.
Very
Well,
cool.
we can more or less wrap up the episode soon, but I wanted people to have touch on any extra things that they wanted to.
Do we just want to like go around and just be like, what games have we been gaming with gamers? Like, has anyone been playing anything recently that they've really liked? Has anyone like gotten really into any specific games lately?
I'm down for that.
I have a question. So Jupiter,
Yes.
when you went to fight the Red Gyarados, did you have to go up and press like A on it, or did you just get into a certain area and it just started the fight?
You have to go up and interact with it.
Okay, because I got like a very special animation for a fight, like it like almost like Elite Four style animation, and I'm going up against a Groudon, so I just really wanted to be clear before I absolutely demolish this Groudon that it's okay to do so.
Well, isn't that an encounter in Lake of Rage?
Well, I need to know if Lake of Rage is a separate encounter from Route 43.
I believe it is.
Let me check.
Hell yeah! All right, I'll spend the rest of the video trying to do that.
Let me finish. Let me get out of this battle and I can check. But I think it's its own area, and as long as you haven't encountered anything, as long as that's your first encounter in the area, you know.
I'm pretty sure it is.
Yes,
actually.
it's its own encounter, Zach.
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, Hammer Arm does a lot of damage.
I mean, that would be awesome if you caught a Groudon. That would be very fancy.
You know, I'm just gonna
shiny
recover, and it's not shiny. It's not shiny.
Oh my god, a shiny Groudon. That would be disgusting.
Why does it do? Oh, he crit! Oh my gosh!
I actually do have to pause. We actually probably should just end the episode here if we can.
Okay, well, guys, find out next time if I just have
I'm in
my
the middle of a
melodic.
battle here.
I'm also in the middle of a battle.
Yeah,
but-
same here. We'll just start the next episode, but like,
Yeah.
you guys will have to wait a week to see if my melodic dies to a Groudon because
Probably.
wow, that hammer hit! Oh my gosh! Bye.
See ya.